This is a production of Off the Hook Sports with Dave Hooker.
Fall report time with Cooper Mays, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. They provided these Tennesseans with honest, dependable heating and cooling service for over 50 years. I'll tell you more about them. But Cooper and I were talking before the break, and we've been talking about – I have these plans basically I put together to talk to Cooper about. And then, like, in 30 seconds, he tells me some cool things. I'm like, I'm not even going to talk about the stuff I prepared for. So here's where we are. So Cooper – was named first. Cooper, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Okay, I'm well. You were named after Cooper Manning. How in the world did that happen?
Yeah. So I guess it wouldn't. I don't know if it would be named after Cooper Manning, but I was named Cooper because of Cooper Manning. So I don't know if it's like or because of him, but there's a correlation because I guess so. My dad was a senior when Peyton was a freshman, and all the families kind of wait outside the tunnel after the game to meet their siblings or their son or their whatever. And I guess so when my mom was standing there waiting, Cooper went up to his mom and was like, I'm going to marry that girl. What's her name? And of course, Peyton's mom was like, oh, well, she's kind of taken, whatever. And she came up and told my mom about it. And she was like, I like that name. I'm going to name my kid that. So here I am.
So who is going to marry who? Help me make sure that I understand it.
Cooper Manning told his mom that he had found, like he saw the girl that he was going to marry. And that was my mom. So based off of, I guess based off of looks, that was what spurred the comment on. And then so Miss Manning came over to my mom and told her, and she was like, basically what she got out of it was she wanted the name. I guess not the guy.
I gotcha. So you're named after a guy that happens to be part of the biggest football family at all times and thinks your mom is super good looking.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm glad we boiled all that down into one little statement.
There's a lot of layers there. It's like an onion.
It's okay. We could just, I don't want to go any deeper in that onion. What I do want to ask you about, because Amanda LaFrada, sorry about that, Amanda LaFrada, who joins us each and every day on Off the Hook Sports, she is actually doing some research into the number of 3-stars that go on to have success. And you weren't the highest rated guy in the world, but here you are locked in as a starter, and things have gone well for you. And I know that's had a chip on your shoulder at some point, but what do you think about how fans view 3 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars?
I would say they overreact about it. I would say, like me, I could honestly say to you, like when all these kids come in that are new recruits, I have no idea what their star rating was or, what they were. Like, obviously, like, there's obviously going to be some outliers. Like you hear about like people like Nico. Like I know he's highly recruited, but like highly rated. But other than that, I mean, kids just get there. Like this is how I look at it, and all of my teammates look at it. They get there, and then after the first few workouts and maybe a couple practices, you make up a little rating system in your own mind. You're like, oh, that kid's. You look at him, and you're like, oh, he's the real deal, or oh, he's not. You never say anything. Like nobody knows anything about stars. It just doesn't really matter, and it doesn't really come into play. And when the ball's put on the field.
Was there a guy that just kind of came out of left field when you started with practice that you're like, oh, I thought that guy was good, but no, he's really, really good?
Well, yeah, there's a couple guys every year that you see. I mean, if you know football, you can look at a kid off of the first little bit of tape that they put out. After a first little bit of tape that they put out in practice, you can watch them and look at them and tell, like, yeah, they're the real deal. Guy, I would say that I didn't know he was good or not, but a guy that is very easily one of the first people that I've just seen like come out of nowhere, like from getting here to like kind of on the scene was BY. So Byron Young, he's one of those guys that you look at him, he's a new kid on the block, he enrolls and nobody really knows who he is or what he's about, and then you see him the first couple of days in practice and you're like, yeah, that kid's doing some pretty special stuff. That kid's different. So it just, I mean, you can see different things out of kids if you look for the right things. because it's not everybody. Nobody's going to know all the plays at first. Nobody's going to know exactly what they're doing, but you can see signs of people having it in them.
I don't necessarily want to get into your whole recruitment because I know it was kind of gnarly and weird with your brother and having your dad playing and having the tie, and you were just expected to go to Tennessee. It's not your life; it's somebody else's. It's kind of how it's viewed sometimes. But I want to get your thoughts when you're on those official visits. Do you have a pretty good feel for who might end up at the school you're at on that particular weekend, or is it kind of up in the air? I mean, how does that work from a player's perspective?
I guess it kind of just depends on who you are. Like me, I was heavily involved in my recruiting class, like putting it together. I would say, like I was a big piece in like bringing all these kids and kind of tying them down to Knoxville. So you can say for some kids you know where they're going. Some kids you have no clue. Like if you look at examples like I would say like from my class, I spent a lot of time with Keyshawn Lawrence and Tyler Barron. And probably up until when they committed, I didn't really have any idea where they were going to go. Like they were just kids that you just didn't really know. And plus, I was never I helped put our class together, but it was never me going out and being like a recruiter for them. I'm more of like a relationship builder. So, you know, those kids that I would see have interest in Tennessee and we had interest in them, I'd just, you know, hit them up or hang out on that weekend that whenever we were there together, and I would hang out with them, kind of get a feel for what they were about and what they liked. And you can talk to a kid and kind of tell where if he wants to go there, if he doesn't. There's a lot of kids that play out recruiting, like just for the visit and the pictures and everything. So there are certain kids where there are certain kids where you don't know.
Interesting. What is one player that's on Tennessee's roster or has been that might have not been there had you not been involved in the recruitment? I want to get to that question in 30 seconds. First, City Heating Air.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
So is there anybody, Cooper, that's played at Tennessee or that is playing at Tennessee that you felt like you had a big influence in their recruitment to come to Knoxville? Any one particular person stand out?
Yeah, I already mentioned him a little bit, but I would say Tyler Barron, probably. I would like to think so. You know, me and him were teammates for his last year of high school. We went on tons of visits together. We hung out the whole time we were visiting. So I would probably say him. I think I provided a good, route into Tennessee a little bit. He already had his dad and everything, but I think it was cool to have like somebody next to him and close to him that was going there too.
Is there a fine line between just being a dude, a 17-year-old guy, and being a recruiter? I mean, I know you helped put the class together, but you don't want to be the in-your-face guy too. What's the balance like?
Yeah, honestly, I would say there's not like really a balance. I think you got to just be more of a dude. I think you got to be somebody. If you're that type of guy, you can just relationship build pretty well, and just put out a good vibe towards people. I think they'll trust you and everything. I've never been somebody that's gonna like sit here and lie to somebody's face just for like the purpose of getting them to come to Tennessee. That was never my thing. So I would hang out with them, be a great friend, and tell them all the great things and show them all the great things about Tennessee. But I wasn't about to sit there and just pump up Tennessee, like just say things out of thin air. That was never me. But I think you got to be more of a friend more than anything.
Yeah, and I think some of that probably leaked out through some previous coaching staffs via prospects, the truth behind the curtains. From my experience, players don't lie to each other. They realize and empathize what each other are going through in the recruiting process. One guy that's trying to help put this class together is Nico Iamuleva, and I've been practicing on that name. It was pretty good, wasn't it, Coop?
Hey, better than I could do. I couldn't tell you. wrong. I couldn't tell you if it's wrong. I'll tell you that much.
That's what I need, is just an audience that doesn't know if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
So with Nico, he's trying to put together this class. What piece of advice would you give him as a player trying to recruit for his school?
I would say just probably communication with the coaching staff. You got to know who the coaching staff wants to be and who you want to be with, and it really just depends on good communication between you and the coaching staff, finding out who they want and everything. You obviously don't want to go out there and, pump up Tennessee and get somebody completely sold on Tennessee, and the coaching staff doesn't even want them to come. So, I'd probably say just have good communication on both ends. That'd probably be my biggest thing.
Yeah, so that's kind of a good – has that ever happened before where if a guy that's like, I think I got an offer, and no, you really don't?
Yeah, fans would be surprised probably how much that happens. It's really weird. Recruiting is so weird, and I can honestly say that it's probably gotten a lot different and a lot more weird since I left high school and adding an NIL. So I don't know what kids are looking for these days now. I don't know. Who knows? Do they really want to go to the school or what's going on? I don't really know.
Is there one one young man that maybe slipped away that you thought you had that's played somewhere else, maybe had success, that you're like, man, I thought he was going to end up at Tennessee?
That's a tough one. I thought there was a kid from McCallie named Jay Hardy. He's from Chattanooga. Yeah. I thought he was going to Tennessee. I thought he was going to come be a part of this. I don't know. He ended up going to Auburn though. Now he's maybe Liberty. I think he's at Liberty.
Is it easier to recruit players that play on the same side of the ball or the same position as you?
I'd probably say for certain position groups like me, it's probably very easy. Usually you get around O-linemen, they're pretty much the best people on the team and most solid individuals. So I always get along with O-linemen pretty well. I can get along with anybody though, so it doesn't really matter to me. But yeah, probably O-linemen.
That is true, though. Offensive linemen are always the easiest to get along with. I can think of a lot of surly defensive linemen, but I can't think of many surly offensive linemen. Is that just the nature of the position, or?
I mean, you sit there all game, and the only time anybody notices you if you mess up, and you definitely don't get any recognition. So I don't know. It kind of breeds a different mentality of human, I guess. You're sitting there, your whole job is just to protect and take punishment, basically. So I don't know.
Does it feel like the football season is almost here? Because here I am looking at the calendar, and it's going to be July the 1st, the end of the week, and then there's SEC media days, and then bam, you all are hitting practice. I mean, is it hitting you like it's hitting me, like it's just about time?
No, it's not hitting.
You don't want it to hit you, though, right?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't feel either way or another about it. Sometimes it just has to hit you before it hits you. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to live where my feet are. So live where my feet are, work out every day. It's a good lifestyle.
I agree. I think I could learn a lot from Cooper, so you might be my therapist one day. What are the chances that you'll be representing the Vols at SEC Media Days and talking about 1,000 media members?
I don't know.
You heard?
Probably not very high. I don't know. I don't see myself doing that this year. Maybe next year though.
Well, I mean, maybe next year, but you're the leader on this team. I mean, I would think, and you're very intelligent, well spoken. Is that something you'd like to do? Speak in front of 1,500 media members, who a lot of which are just trying to get you to say something you don't want to say.
Yeah, when you put it like that, I don't know. I mean, hey, I just do my job. So whatever they need out of me, I got it. So if that's media day, then they get media day. If they don't, then hey, no media day for me.
As far as how your leadership style has, not necessarily a style, but just your position on the team, just by growing up playing more games, how much more of a leader are you headed into this season? Let's say 12 months ago.
Definitely, I would say I'm a firm leader in the O-line room. That's the biggest development. It's hard to really be a leader when you've got an older brother that's already a leader on the team, because it's just you got to feel when you're the power is just kind of offset a little bit. It wasn't like I was completely silent and let Kay talk all the time, but it's hard to be a leader when you got an older brother in the room, if that makes sense, especially when he's a premier player in the SEC. So I don't know. It's definitely just added a lot of responsibility to me now that he's gone. I think me and Jerome are feeling it, more of the weight on our shoulders. So just try to take that and run with it.
What do you think of Jerome's game? What's the next step as he continues to improve?
Oh, man, that's hard. I'd probably say just continue with his consistency. If you look at Jerome, I mean, Jerome is just good at basically everything. Like, you can't find many weak points in his game. So just building on that consistency that he has as a player and just keeping it there all season, the sky's really the limit for him.
And, of course, talking about Jerome Carvin, there's been times where he's really been dominant, frankly, Cooper. You talk about the consistency. I mean, have we even seen the, what he could truly be?
Yeah, I think you see it. I think you see it every game, every play. If you look at Jerome, I would say Jerome is the most consistent player I've ever been around. So you're not really going to get an off day out of Jerome. You're going to get him on the same track every single day, no matter how he feels. So I think you see exactly what you get out of Jerome.
So, well, whether or not it's hit you yet, it has hit me. So it feels like, and perhaps it's because I got this whole other venture going on, but it has hit me that it's almost here. So it's definitely an exciting time. I know you got to spend the weekend with your family. So what's Cade's early thoughts on the NFL? Did you get much feedback from him, or did you guys just kind of stay away from football?
It just depends on what Cade wants to talk about. You know what I'm saying? I'm the type of guy where people ask me like, what did you watch? What football games did you watch, or what? All that, no. Like I watch hours and hours of film of the game. I practice the game every day. I play the game. I'm definitely not going to go home and watch another game. You know what I mean? So I try to let Cade talk about what he likes to talk about. So if that's football, if he wants to show me some cool plays that he had in practice that day, or if he wants to talk about the next, what games we're going to play tonight on the Xbox or whatever, it's all up to him. He likes it though. He's having a good time. He's had a really strong start. The coaches like him, so I think he's really happy with where he's at.
I think there's a song about that. So if you want to talk fishing, I guess that'll be okay. But it's essentially the guy's a rock star, and he don't want to go back and talk about all his rock star life. He just wants to be a dude.
Right. I mean, hey, it all depends on the person, I personally think you need a little mental break from some stuff. If it doesn't matter how much you love something, if you get too much of it, it's gonna start to dull down for you. So trying to keep it, where it needs to be, where the focus needs to be.
Well said. My partner on the Vol Report here, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, and maybe my therapist one day. He has some good mental health advice. So what was it? Just stand in your own place, or stand in your own. What was the saying again? I'm stealing that.
You just got to be where your feet are.
Just got to be where your feet are. I love it. I tell you where their feet are. City Heating and Air Conditioning, because they're about integrity. They're not just going to fly in and knock it out. You're laughing at my segue, good, but City Heating and Air will take care of you. CityHeatandAir.com. For Coop, I'm Dave, a production of Off the Hook Sports.